Hi, I would like to welcome Murda Smith, who is our engineering teacher at our high school. She started her career as an engineer for 6 years and then wanted to share her wealth of information with students, therefore becoming an engineering teacher. She's been doing that for 20 years, with the last 5 of them at Indian Hill High School. And I'm so pleased to talk about all that she offers to students. Welcome, Murda.
Thank you for having me.
So, there are these great accolades that have been used to describe the program, and it has received national recognition for Project Lead the Way. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Project Lead the Way and why we have received all of these national recognitions?
These are the same classes that students are taking at the college level. Our students are able to get exposure to some of the equipment, the programming, and they get to see some of the theory behind engineering and what engineering students do and what to expect in the field of engineering. We've had great success here at Indian Hill because the students are actively involved, the students take advantage of competitions, the students do well on the test at the end of the year. So this partnership between Project Lead the Way, Great Oaks, and Indian Hill is working out very well, and our students are taking advantage of it.
I'm so excited to talk about this because the one thing that one of the things that I want for our students is to have the opportunity to experience different fields, different passions that they have before they look at the next part of their educational career, whether that be employment or for most of our students it's going on to college. Mm-hmm. I just am so excited that they have the chance to experience engineering in the most real way that they can while they're here in high school.
Absolutely.
So often we talk about STEM. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And we can find a room full of articles about the importance of STEM right now. I would just love to hear from you. Why do you think it's so important for high schools to offer some engineering type of courses for our students? And what does this even mean for younger students?
Well, I think it's good for students to get exposure so they understand what it means and they're able to make good decisions about what they want to do for the future. All of us understand what doctors do, what lawyers do, what firefighters do, but a lot of people, unless you have an engineer in your family, you're not going to get to see and understand what engineers do. And everything around us was made by an engineer. Mm-hmm. So when you look at things that are in our daily lives, the clothes you wear, the chair you're sitting on, the car you drive, those were made by engineers, but also things like some of our military stuff and technology with the infrastructure, all that stuff is done by engineers. And these students get a chance to kind of see that and then understand what goes into making those things. We focus on the design process where you come up with ideas and you brainstorm and then you test them out and see what works. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, but they get to go through that process and understand exactly what it means to be an engineer. One of the neat parts about engineering is that there's an engineering field for whatever students are interested in, whether it's fashion and technology, cars, airplanes, furniture, anything a student has interest in, those skills and that knowledge can be used in any of the engineering fields because it's needed out there.
It's so fascinating to think about that. I've had the privilege of being in your classroom when students are working, and I feel like the description of it is very different than what I saw when I viewed people in college learning about engineering. It's so active in your classroom. I was wondering if you would mind kind of painting a picture for all of us about maybe a lesson or an aha moment that a student had so that we can make sure everybody understands what it looks like in your classroom.
So I would describe our class a little bit as organized chaos. Makes it a lot of fun. We cover the theory behind a lot of engineering principles. Civil engineering is a great example. So in civil engineering, we will teach them about bridge design. We'll spend 2 or 3 weeks learning how to analyze bridges and do the calculations that go with bridges. And then we'll build bridges. And so what they learn is they'll do a design and maybe it'll work and maybe it won't work. It'll take them longer than they thought it was going to be, or it'll turn out different than what they thought it was going to be. They've got to figure out how to include all of these aspects of the bridge design. Where are you going to put the weight? How's the bridge going to be supported? And then the fun part is we'll break it. And so what they get with all of our projects is they understand the theory that's behind what it is they're doing, and then they get to see, well, now when I take this idea and actually apply it to something real, things don't always go as you plan. And they learn how to troubleshoot and how to problem solve and how to work together, because you might have 2 or 3 people that have different ideas about how it should turn out. And so they've got to come to a consensus so their team can solve the problem. And then they get to see what other teams have done. So I think what you see compared to college classes is that lab that happens in college classes that you don't necessarily get to see. And that's kind of what we try to create. The theory and the learning that happens in a typical classroom, and then we bring the lab feature where they're actually building and making and breaking into our class.
I'm just want to emphasize how thrilling that is, because sometimes by mistake, students, especially at the high school level, can really focus on chasing perfection. And I think it has to do with pressure that they feel about readiness for the next level, or like competitiveness with students across the entire country, looking at specific colleges. And so learning how to fail and iterate based on that failure is such an important part of what students need for the next level. So it's thrilling to hear all of this.
One of my favorite parts in the classroom is the fact that generally there's not an answer. So you'll get the problem, and it's a very open-ended problem. And there are 10 different ways that you could approach this. And when they get to see other groups' solution, they'll see that, oh, they took A path, I took B path, they took C path. And so we all did something different, but we're all meeting that solution some kind of way. And for some kids, it's a little challenging because they want the answer to be 52. But you know, it's not. And there's just different ideas. And one of the things we emphasize in our class is I have the students do a portfolio where they take pictures of the process, and then they'll write about at the end kind of what did you learn, and if you had infinite time, what would you do, and what changes could you make, and why did your project not work. So it's a lot of fun from that perspective too.
So beyond the classroom, you are highly involved with our robotics team. And I do not think that I am exaggerating by saying that they have received significant accolades for all of the work that they've done. They've competed in world competitions.
Yes.
They've been part of the Google design process, and they've received grants from Procter & Gamble.
Yes.
Sometimes when I'm walking around the school setting after school and I see them all working on robotics, it's way over my head. They are amazing, and I know that you have created the space for them to reach that potential of amazing. So, wow. And then tell us a little bit about this robotics.
Robotics is it's incredible. Even I've been doing robotics probably for about 12 years, and it still amazes me. The kids do everything. I just manage the money and kind of manage the space. The kids come up with the design, they do all the testing, they manage their teams. They do everything. And what's really neat about robotics is it is an application of all the things we're learning in the classroom. So planning and dealing with failure and doing research and trying to get your team to work together, robotics kind of brings all that together. Even if a student is not interested in programming, they can help with building. They can help with putting together the grant. They can help with planning out the community challenge that they're going to do. So there's a lot of different aspects of robotics that students can get involved in. And they just go with it. They own it. And so I think that's the energy that you see after school is because that is their project and they own all of that. And I just kind of sit back and let them go.
It's wonderful to watch. It is. I just want to say thank you. I think that this program is such a great opportunity for our students. I also think it is a really wonderful example of partnership between Indian Hill Schools, the Great Oaks program, and the Curriculum Through Project Lead the Way. But I would be remiss if I didn't just say how much I want to thank you, Murtis, for all that you do for our students and how happy we are to have you to be part of this, and especially to tell your story as part of Masterclass. So thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoy it.
And thank you, everybody, for being part of Masterclass.